The Radio Wammo Breakfast.
John Henderson's film review.
Thanks to Rialto.
I was often trying to get my father to tell me about his war.
Oh, wait, go on.
It was Christmas time. Then he agreed to let me record his story. It was his present to me.
We thought we'd just get over there and see the world. Only last about 12 months and we'd have a free holiday. I didn't want to kill anyone. None of us did. Anyone who says he wasn't scared was telling lies.
So there were women there.
Yeah, the wax.
There must have been holiday romances and stuff.
No, we were more interested in the beer. And then Johnny Dixon came up to me and said, "Congratulations, you're a father."
The film is Home by Christmas, a new Kiwi flick. John Henderson giving us his thoughts on this brand new film. Good morning to you, John.
Morning, Wammo. How are you?
I'm well.
Good movie, this. Home by Christmas.
Out just in time for Anzac Day.
Yeah, I think it was well-timed, the release, and I think this is an interesting film about New Zealand Armed Forces at war during World War II, as told by the remembrances of Gayleen Preston's dad.
Mm-hmm.
And she's the director and writer of this film.
And yet again, John, regardless of whether it's New Zealand or whatever, it's another war film.
Yeah, but it's one of the war films about us, about Kiwis. And I think it works really well because it's very personable.
Personable, because it makes you feel like you might know these blokes, or they might have been your grandfather or his father's father.
Absolutely, your granddads. Yeah, the thing about this is how innocent all of these guys were. Ed, Gayleen's dad, he was joining up with the rest of the rugby team over there and on the West Coast, and he thought it would be a good way to see a bit of the world, and he honestly thought it would only last 12 months and he'd be home by Christmas. So off he goes. He's just gotten married. I don't think his wife was too happy about it, but she said, okay, well, we'll see you at Christmas. He was captured very early on in the piece in North Africa and then spent 2 years being shuttled around various parts of Europe as a POW before escaping off to Switzerland. So these memoirs are very cleverly done. Now, I think Gayleen, what she did was she interviewed her father in the early 90s. He was in his 80s at that stage, and she'd always wondered about the war, and he'd always been fairly evasive. I think a lot of these guys were very evasive about what went on over there because they just wanted to leave it behind them. And the way this film has been made is it's a drama and it's also a documentary. It's very cleverly interwoven with the young Ed, played by Martin Henderson, and the old Ed sitting with Gayleen as she's interviewing him, played by Tony Barry. Now, I haven't seen Tony Barry on the big screen in a very long time over here in New Zealand. Those of you that have ever seen Goodbye Pork Pie, he was the older of the two lunatics that are driving around in the little yellow Mini.
That's right, yeah.
And he's really good. He's a very warm, very caring, elderly sort of guy who is at times, yes, quite evasive about some of the probing questions that Gayleen's asking him. I think we heard it in the sound bite about wartime romances, and he's going, no, there's none of that. We're more into the beer. And so there's a lot of things that aren't being said.
So it's definitely more about the story and the memoirs as opposed to the description or the visual aspects of war.
Yeah, and I think that is one of the things that makes it so refreshing and so different because, so many of those war movies we've been seeing lately coming in from all corners of the earth have their fair amount of bloodshed and people just being slaughtered. Mainly Nazis, but occasionally collaborators and informers. But yes, there's always a lot of claret on the screen there. This is slightly different. It's more of my life's on hold.
Yeah.
I'm away for 4 years. What also is revealed in this docudrama, if we could call it that, is the fact that whilst Ed was away, his young wife Tui, who had no idea if he was really alive or dead, embarked on an affair.
Bum, bum, bum.
I thought you were going to do that. And so she has to reconcile her feelings for Ed when he does arrive home. And the other guy.
That's like, whoops, didn't think you were coming back.
Yeah.
By the
But
way,
it's definitely not, even though Martin Henderson is in there, it's definitely not a 1.5 hour episode of Shortland Street, circa 1940s.
I think he's moved on from that quite a bit.
And I think this plot line is very realistic. It must have happened to a lot of people. Very hard to put your life on hold for 4 years.
Yeah.
Do I move on?
Currently screening at the Rialto, and probably be on the small screen in time for Anzac Day next year.
I think that's a fair prediction. If not next year, definitely by the following year. It's a goodie. It is. It's really well done. Very warm, very heartfelt.
Lovely. What would you give it out of 5?
I'd give it a 4. It's awesome.
4 out of 5 for Home by Christmas. Mr. John Henderson, thanks so much.
Thanks, Wammo.
Days of cloud and sunshine, joy and tear.
How did you readjust to family life?
I'll look into your eyes and hold your hand.
That was tough.
I'll walk beside you to the golden land.
I just wanted to get on with our lives.
I can't say I didn't keep my promise. I am home by Christmas.
Yeah, 4 years too late.
Welcome home.
It's good to be home.
The Radio Wammo Breakfast. Catch that.